everyone. Welcome to the Glow podcast. I'm here today with a very exciting guest. I have Tracy, and I'm super excited to talk to her. But if you are new here, we are Tailored Marketing, and we partner with organizations in health, wellness, and longevity space to fuel growth through strategic marketing and sales strategies. So if you are interested, drop a comment below. Tracy, thank you so much for coming on. I'm super excited to have you. If you would, I would love if you would just go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction so the listeners know who you are.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Tracy Mann. I am a registered dietitian by profession, and I have had my own private practice since 2011. So it's definitely ebbed and flowed over the years,
Yeah.
but it is 100% virtual now, which is kind of a fun avenue to go down after being traditionally trained in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
I work mostly in women's health, helping women balance hormones naturally through nutrition and lifestyle strategies rather than relying wholly and solely on pharmaceuticals. And when I am not working, which I love the work that I do, so it never really feels like work, but I
Yeah.
also have five kids, five very busy
Wow.
kids. So I'm on the go a lot as well.
That's super fun. That's so awesome. And yeah, you brought up like such a good point too, that like I feel like things have transitioned a lot to virtual, like from COVID and just, obviously like the internet growing as well. And I think it's so cool because people who maybe are in like a different state than you are weren't able to get your services before, and now they can find somebody who's really specialized in the things that you're specialized in, where if they're in like a small town, maybe they didn't have access to that before.
Exactly. And I have to say, I grew up in a really small town in Nebraska, and I never even knew what a dietitian was.
Yeah.
I think fortunately I didn't need one, but just I constantly think of that. Like I live in the Denver metro now, and there's, probably hundreds of us.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, increasing that access to people who maybe don't have that profession. And it's not just my profession, but a lot of professions. And I also love, because I can relate to my busy clientele, you don't want to always spend an hour in traffic to spend an hour at a session and then an hour commuting back to wherever you need to get to. It really helps people use their time a little bit more efficiently on both sides, for me and for the client.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Even like now, like I have to drive like 25 minutes to like the gym that I go to, and some days like I'm like I just don't feel like driving like to
Yep.
it. I'm like I want to go, but I like just don't even feel like driving. So like having
Yes.
that access like right at your home for like anything, it just makes it so much easier, and we're all busy, so it fits into your schedule so much better too. So getting back to a little bit too about what you were talking about, you primarily work with women, and so can you talk like a little bit more kind of to the capacity that you work with them on, like what kind of services you provide and like what kind of plans you help them create?
Yeah. So I would say a majority of the work that I do is one-on-one, which would be, like somebody talking to me just like you and I are. It's
Yeah.
very personalized and customized. It's looking at labs and doing a medical history and reviewing current lifestyle and nutrition, and then figuring out, based on the client's goals, what should we tweak? What do we need to address? The stages of life I most typically work with is perimenopause, kind of that midlife. It really is
Yeah.
midlife. And then I also work with a condition called PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian
Okay.
syndrome. Your listeners who have it will be like, she knows what that is, and the rest of everyone doesn't. No, they don't usually know what
Yeah.
it is. But it's a specific set of symptoms and diagnostic criteria. And so there's a lot of unique strategies that we can put into place depending on what symptoms are presenting. So I guess I definitely work in a really customized, personalized way with clients.
Yeah.
And then the conventional medicine side of things, they view lab results and symptoms and things like that a little bit differently than from my viewpoint and the lens in which I'm looking. Sometimes I'll have clients who say, my labs were normal, but I don't feel normal. And there's other testing that we can do to dig in, and I'll utilize those options when they're appropriate as well.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people now too are becoming more aware of how important food is to like really our overall health, because it's the thing that is fueling our bodies. You know, it can be used as medicine or it can be used as the opposite, you know? And
Yes,
so it's
yes.
it's so important really what we are putting into our bodies, and I think there's becoming a lot more awareness of that just with people having more access to information, which is so important.
Yes. And because of that access to large amounts of information, there can be misinformation. I find that even highly educated people like doctors, they can skew a viewpoint to make sales on something.
Yeah.
And that, I'm not saying that's good, bad, or otherwise, but sometimes that viewpoint isn't applicable to somebody else. And so I always tell clients, you may have read this or you may have seen this, but I don't know if that will actually be helpful for you until we get in and do an assessment and really look at you as an individual person. And there is a lot of misinformation specifically with PCOS. And I think perimenopause as well. A large portion of a first session will just be me debunking myths and answering questions like, pick my brain, let's go for it.
Yeah, no, seriously, because the access to information is such a good thing, but it also, like you were saying, there's so much information out there, and people can put basically whatever they want to. And then people are going to come upon this information and they're like you read it almost as like word, like this has to be right. And then it's like actually talking to someone like you who is an expert in nutrition, and they're like, oh, okay, so maybe this wasn't correct.
Yes. Yes, because I think there's nuances that we learn in our schooling of, looking at a study that might say one thing, and so somebody takes that and runs with it as being the best new thing, and then you look and you're like, oh, well, that was funded by XYZ, big pharma or big food
Yeah.
company. Can you trust that information? And somebody may try it and it makes them feel worse, and then they're like, well, I don't trust any of that. And it's like really with someone like myself, after working in my career for 18 years, there's not just the schooling side, but there's just that experience and client outcomes and things like that that help guide how I help clients now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, for anyone who is maybe going through perimenopause or is in that stage in their life, like, is there any like specific things where you're like, these are specifics that anyone kind of in that stage of life could focus on? Because I know obviously, like you said, you have a very individualized approach, and I mean that's super important for diet, because what works for one person is not going to work for somebody. But are there any things that you can kind of give as just general advice?
Yes. So I always say this is general, and if you know your body, and you are sensitive to foods or things like that, you can always tweak this guidance
Yeah.
appropriately. One thing that's really hot right now in the perimenopause space is talk about intermittent fasting. And I have found that to not be super helpful for myself or my clients because it can enhance the stress response in the body. So I
Yeah.
usually am telling people, if you're going to do some fasting, make it a natural overnight fast, usually from like 8 p.m. until you would get up in the morning. So
Yeah.
6, 7, some people it's earlier, but like trying to be done eating by about 8 o'clock. Then I suggest eating the first meal of the day within an hour of waking up. That also helps mitigate an enhanced stress response. Why is mitigating stress important? Because we're under a lot of stress anyway. So why could like add on to that by intermittent fasting when we could help keep that at bay just by eating? And then when you do eat, try to make it nourishing foods, like some good quality protein. If you could get some fruit or vegetable in at each meal. And if you're not great at doing it at meals, use those to be snacks instead. But just getting in those good, high nutrient dense foods, and then just really trying to minimize eating processed foods as often as you can. I'm not saying get rid of all
Yeah.
of it. I cannot do that with the way, the
Yeah.
busy lifestyle that I have. And I think people think, oh, well, she's telling me this, she must do it. No, but keeping it at a minimum has been really helpful for me. And I'm almost 43, so I am relating to clients who are in perimenopause. I mean, that's the phase of life that I am personally in. And so um, we try to work on what's ideal, but we try to also make it really flexible and fit in with the lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that that's so important is like finding something that's sustainable for you. Like if you have 5 kids like you do, you are not going to completely be able to cut out processed foods. Like you might need to grab a protein bar real quick one
Exactly.
morning or whatever.
Or we have to hit the drive-through sometimes. I'm fully admitting it. Do I love
Yeah.
doing it? No, but it's so important to fuel our bodies, even if it's with kind of junky food, because at least we can get a little energy from it to sustain us until we can get in front of a little bit more of a nutritious snack or something like that. Constantly skipping meals is very detrimental to hormone balance, and it actually can start feeding into a fat storage cycle. That's why I always say I'm like I'd rather go grab Chick-fil-A, once a week
Yeah.
than not be able to eat that day because I was in my car for 12 hours.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's so, so true. It's like we have to, or if like you're traveling for work all the time, like, and you're not able to cook all, like, you have to eat. And like, you don't want to just bring like your protein bars and then you're eating just processed food the whole time. So it's like going to a restaurant is gonna be your best option. Is it what you want to do all the time? No, but like that's what the stage that you're at, and you have to kind of like meet yourself where you're at.
Yes. And I've had a few clients who they're like, we would never go through the drive-through. Like we would never do fast food. And I'm like, that's amazing. So let's see what it must not be the fast food that's the problem if you're having symptoms. And then you can start
Yeah.
digging in a little bit more. I would say probably the hardest part for my clients is the ones that travel a lot because they're like, I have no idea what to get at the airport. I don't know what to do when I live out of a hotel for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's just like you said, first and foremost, you have to eat. And then we slowly work on, well, what are going to be better options for you? But at minimum, trying to eat pretty regularly throughout the day is going to be a nice foundation.
Yeah. And then kind of trying to supplement, like you said, like more of like those whole foods in with like it being, good proteins, vegetables, fruits. And like, I feel like obviously, like we're talking about perimenopause right now, but I also feel like this is relatable for just about anyone too, like
Absolutely.
yeah, like it's like those are the things you have to do. You have to fuel your body, you have to eat kind of regularly and try to eat whole foods when you can.
Exactly. Yep. I say like the foundations are the foundations and they're almost the same for everybody. There might be some slight nuances, but there's a way that our body's designed to function, and that's about the same for anybody. I mean, even my kids, they're kind of on a regular schedule. We eat breakfast. I know when they're eating lunch, and I try to send them a snack. And then when you know you're like maybe eating less optimally than you'd like, you can start scoping out menus for places that do at least offer a vegetable, like a place that you could get steamed broccoli or a sweet potato or something versus only like fried potatoes, or something like that. It just keeps you mindful of the
Yeah.
places you're choosing to eat based on maybe they have something nutritious to offer you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so when you're working with clients, either in the perimenopause or like you were talking about with PCOS as well, like what are some of the common challenges that you see for these clients in kind of either of those groups?
Yeah. I'd say actually for both groups because PCOS affects women and then I just naturally attract, I think, perimenopausal women. So
Yeah.
my clientele, very large population of women. Time to plan ahead, time to have groceries that you need to make meals, time to meal plan, and then, like being on the go a lot, I think are the biggest struggles. And so it's really working to either identify healthier grab and go options that people can do, or it's simpler ways to meal plan. So I'll give you an example of what I do. I don't meal prep. Some people meal prep. They make it, they portion it out, and then it's in the fridge. I have a family of 7. Like that would never work.
Your fridge isn't big enough.
Thing and We do family style. I'll make the meal and then we sit down and eat it when we have time. So what
Yeah.
I end up doing is I'll kind of look ahead at the week at what we have going on. I'll figure out how many days of the week am I feasibly going to be making dinner. And then from there, I will either ask my family, what do you want this week? And I'll try to make things that they're asking for, or I'll just decide what we're
Yeah.
having. But I have about usually any given week, 3 to 4 meals in mind. I will make sure when I grocery shop, I have the ingredients I need for all of those meals. And then I just kind of decide, oh, it's Monday. I have stuff for tacos or I have stuff for spaghetti.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do tacos tonight and spaghetti tomorrow because I don't have enough time to do the noodles and blah, 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 blah. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of discern my week. And then realistically, there are nights I know I can't cook. So I'll either plan that we have leftovers or I'll say, this is a night we are going to be grabbing and going or eating out, or everybody's on their own, depending on which direction we're going. And that works really well for me and my family versus trying to like meal prep. And it takes away that every night going, I don't know what we're having. I don't have enough stuff for this. So that's how I meal plan typically.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I feel like even me, it's just like me and my boyfriend, and like I feel like meal prepping can be so boring sometimes too.
Yes.
Because
I
if
do
you're
like
eating like
food
the
fatigue
same
is a real
thing,
thing.
yes,
Like a
exactly.
protein, you're changing the protein, but it's all pretty much the same. And you might
Yeah.
change up the vegetable, but it's like all, it does. It just gets a little, yeah, food fatigue. It's a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, definitely. It gets stale. You're like, okay, I'm ready for something a little different or like new. And so I found that kind of we do the same thing like you were just talking about. It's kind of like finding, like, okay, these are the 4 meals we're going to make this week. We'll probably have some leftovers from some of this. And then for like grab snacks, like healthy snacks. And then it's like the rest of the meals, like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like if we need to go to the grocery store again, we can.
Exactly. I always, people, when I check out at the grocery store, they always ask, did you find everything okay? And I always want to say, I can work here. I'm here all the time. I know where everything is in my store that's closest to my house. Like I'm a frequent flyer at the grocery store and I probably go more than I should. And I
Yeah.
definitely go more often when I have it planned ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. And planning ahead is so, like, it's kind of fun, honestly. Like, once you get into the habit of it, like, trying, like, new recipes, and then you have, like, the tried and trues that maybe you're making, like, twice a month, or 3 times a month, or 4 times a month, depending, you
Like
know?
tacos and spaghettis, we have almost once a week each thing because everybody likes it. And you hit the nail on the head. Once it becomes a habit, it becomes a lot easier. It can be really hard to add a new habit. Like if somebody's listening and they're just not used to thinking about their week that way, it's going to feel like a complete slog on a
Yeah.
Sunday to be going through, okay, I have to look and I got to do this. But once it becomes a habit, it does make things easier.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's probably like a lot what you are doing too, like with your clients, is almost like habit building of like, okay, let's build these habits. Like, these are the snacks we're gonna get. Like, let's get out of eating these certain things and into eating these. And it does, like, once you get in the habit, like, even when I was traveling this past weekend and like I got back and I was like, ooh, like, I'm so ready to like be eating like home cooked meals.
Yes, you do get kind of excited. And that's the other thing too. If somebody's listening and they're not actually used to cooking at home, I have clients, they're like, I don't cook. Like we
Yeah,
have all of our favorite restaurants. And so that it's hard for them to fathom liking foods that they make at home as much as they do out and about. But once, even if we just start working in one night a week of cooking the meal, they
yeah,
start to realize how much better it tastes and it can actually save time versus having to order, drive somewhere, wait for it, or sit down and eat it there and then come back. Like it can be faster to make it at home with the right strategy. Yep.
yeah. No, sometimes when I like don't have food at home, I'll honestly be like upset. I'm like, oh, I have to like go get food and like do the whole thing, you know? Like it's just like, it does seem simpler like having it at home to me now. But there was a point in my life where like I was like, oh, I don't want to go to the grocery store.
I know. I still do that. I was like, I have to go again. But then when I go and I have my plan, I spend like $100 less and my family eats what I bring home, and I don't have to go back to the store as much. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Why don't
no,
I do
for
this?
sure.
Like, why do I complain about going?
Exactly. It's just a change of mindset a little bit, right?
It's a lot of mindset changing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, kind of moving to like a little bit of a different topic. So, with your business, like, what are some of the goals, like, with your business and what you're currently working on? Are you continuing to just work with clients one on one, or do you have any plans for other programs, or kind of what does that look like for you over the next year, 6 months or so?
Yeah. Well, I didn't mention my business is called Everyday Nutrition, and I really had to think hard. Like when you pick a business name, it's very hard because you're
Yeah.
like, this is your brand and your identity, right? And at the time, I didn't want my name to be the brand. Like I didn't want
Yeah.
Tracy Mann Nutrition or something like that. And I really try to live out that everyday piece. I like recommendations that I give to my clients to be things they can do every day or most every day, simple and achievable and things like that. I still like one on one is kind of my bread and butter. It's what I'm most comfortable doing. I do think clients see really great results doing one on one, but because
Yeah.
I'm so busy, I do have a group program. The one that's established is for PCOS.
Okay.
It's called the PCOS balance method, and it's really just about balancing your hormones through a balanced nutrition and lifestyle plan. But it's a group program, and I've offered it a few times, and clients get good results, pretty similar to the one on ones. I think people are still they're hesitant to join a group program when they have a health condition, even though all the people have the same one, but
Yeah.
they're just like how am I going to get that same help? And it's completely possible and actually more fun to do it in
Yeah.
a group because you're in a space with people who understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping to kind of refresh that and get that a little bit more out into the world again. And then I've just been toying with, because we've been talking about perimenopause a lot, but I don't actually have a program for perimenopause. So I'm kind of discerning how I want to go to be able to work a little bit more one to many than just the one to one
Yeah.
with those clients.
That's super cool. Yeah, I feel like also too, like you were talking about the group programs. I feel like, especially like for PCOS, like you were saying that if they don't want to like be in a group of people, but like I would feel like it would almost be like a benefit to have people that are like going through the same thing as you and like a community of women to like uplift you and everything as well, you know? And even like with perimenopause as well, it's like talking about like we're going through similar things, and like I'm a part of like groups, and I love it because it's like you get to like feed off of what other people are saying, and maybe they're having the same problem as you are and they ask about it but you don't, so you get the answer from them asking about it
Yeah,
too.
and you don't have to be like, I was too shy to ask it. So and so asked it, and now I have my answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
The
for
groups
sure.
that I've ran through, they had a lot of positive things to say, and I even if they were skeptical, I converted them to being a fan of group programs by the time
Yeah.
we were done.
That's good. Yeah, because I feel like groups are so fun, especially like when it is something like that and you're going through similar things. It's like even just like talking, and you become friends with like the people in the program too a lot of the time, because not maybe not everybody, but like specific people and stuff. You're like, oh, like I really relate to this person, and so it's just somebody else that you have in your community.
Yes. And I was thinking about this with perimenopause. I mean, tons of my friends are in the same life stage as me, but
Yeah,
we're not always working on the same goals. And so I think, like with my PCOS program and how I try to recreate that with perimenopause a little bit is there's kind of a strategy and there's a flow and everybody's kind of on the same page at the same time. And
yeah,
so you're also on a similar path where you can support each other at those different stages of the program as well, versus like just chit chatting with my friend about, oh, I gained 5 pounds, when I
yeah.
looked at the candy bar, that sort of thing. Like you're commiserating and you know you've got each other's backs, but like you're not then putting that into a plan of action of like, okay, what are we going to do about this 5 pounds? Or, What are we going to do about
Yeah.
candy bars?
Yeah. No, that's so true. That is funny. Well, tell everyone, what is the best way to find you online. I will also put all the links in the show notes as well, so then it's kind of easy access from there. But tell everyone, and yeah.
So my website is everydaynutritionllc.com, and that's where I have a contact form and more information about working with me specifically. And if people are on social media, I have two Instagram accounts. One is PCOS focused. It's at manage.pcos.naturally. And then if you just more want to kind of follow perimenopause along with me, I'll probably end up start using that my personal page a little bit more for that perimenopause side, but it's dietitian_Tracy.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'll put
Yeah.
everything in the show notes. I really, really appreciate you coming on and talking everything perimenopause, PCOS, and more about everyday nutrition as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.